Hey everyone, and welcome back to Be Free Cycling. You know we love to get our hands dirty and take a deep dive into the world of e-bikes, and today we are looking at the HeyBike Mars. This thing is causing a lot of buzz online,
This
and
is.
yeah, and I'm excited to break it down for you all. Of course, before we get started, make sure you smash that subscribe button and give this video a like if you haven't already. It really helps the channel grow. So for today's deep dive, we're going to be checking out the official FAQ sheet from HeyBike, and then also some interesting Amazon reviews that we found, just to give you the full picture.
Sounds good.
So what is the HeyBike Mars? Well, in a nutshell, it's a foldable e-bike, and it's built for both on and off-road adventures. Think fat tires, a powerful motor, and a pretty good range. Sounds pretty awesome, right?
Yeah, it seems like they're really targeting riders who want the best of both worlds. So a bike that can handle city streets, but then also you can take it out on the trails on the weekend.
Exactly. And you know me, I'm all about versatility. Okay, let's start with this FAQ sheet because it lays out some impressive specs. We're talking a 48-mile range, 20-mile-per-hour top speed, a 500-watt motor with a peak power output of 1,000 watts. I mean, those are some serious numbers. What stands out to you right away?
Well, I think that 1,000-watt peak power is particularly interesting. It suggests that this bike can handle some pretty steep inclines. Not just your average little hills, but some serious climbs.
Yeah, so this could be a real contender for those of you riding in, hillier areas or tackling some off-road trails. And speaking of off-road, the FAQ makes a big deal about this being a go-anywhere e-bike. They list downtown streets, rocky roads, beaches, even snow. Do you really think it can handle all that?
I mean, I'd take those claims with a grain of salt until we see some real-world testing out in the field. But it's clear they're marketing this bike as like a true all-rounder. It definitely seems like it's designed for more than just your average commute.
Right. This isn't your grandma's e-bike. And they're not skimping on features either. We've got multiple riding modes: pedal assist, full electric, manual, and even a walking mode. Plus, there are customization options to fine-tune your ride. Oh, and they even include an integrated rear rack. Super practical for hauling stuff around. Speaking of hauling, the FAQ highlights the 330-pound weight capacity. That seems pretty high. Is that a big deal?
Yeah, that's a great point. That weight capacity is significantly higher than a lot of other e-bikes on the market. And I think it's a big deal for a couple of reasons. First, it opens up the bike to a wider range of riders. People who might have been excluded from e-biking due to weight restrictions now have an option that can comfortably accommodate them. And second, it suggests this bike is really built for, serious cargo hauling, whether you're carrying groceries, camping gear, or even a passenger on the back. That 330-pound limit gives you a lot of flexibility.
Awesome. Inclusivity in cycling is so important. All right, so it's powerful, versatile, and can carry a ton of weight. But is it practical? I mean, the FAQ mentions that the bike is foldable, but it's also kind of heavy, right?
Yeah, there's always a trade-off with foldable e-bikes. They're convenient for storage and transport, but they can be a bit bulkier and heavier than traditional bikes. However, the FAQ does have this great tip. Removing the battery before transporting the folded bike makes it much more manageable.
I love that. A little pro tip right from the source.
Okay.
Now, if you're still with us, make sure you hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. It really helps me know you're enjoying these deep dives. Now, let's get to the juicy stuff. What are actual riders saying about the HeyBike Mars? For that, we dove into the Amazon reviews. And let me tell you, there's a lot to unpack.
Amazon reviews can be a gold mine, You get to hear from people who are actually using the bike in their everyday lives, not just like reading about it on paper.
For sure. And the HeyBike Mars has a ton of reviews, which is always a good sign. So we dug deep, and we found some interesting trends. First off, people are raving about the build quality. They're using words like solid, durable, even tank-like
Wow.
to describe it. And
That's got to be reassuring, right?
oh yeah, especially for riders who want to really put this bike through its paces.
Absolutely. Durability is crucial, especially if you're planning on tackling rough terrain or carrying heavy loads. It sounds like HeyBike hasn't cut any corners in the construction department.
Yeah, and here's something that really stood out to me. Reviewers are saying this bike is surprisingly easy to assemble. Like, we saw comments from people who aren't exactly mechanically inclined, and they were saying that they were able to put it together with no problems. One person even said it was practically fully assembled right out of the box. That's got to be a huge plus.
Absolutely. Ease of assembly is a big deal for people who might not be comfortable tinkering with bike parts. It means you can spend less time fiddling with tools and more time, actually right.
Exactly. And speaking of riding, the overall consensus is that this bike is FUN.
Okay.
Reviewers are consistently mentioning how smooth the ride is, how comfortable it is, even on bumpy terrain. They're using words like joyful and effortless. One reviewer even talked about how much they love riding with their dog on this bike. They said their furry friend absolutely loves it. That's the kind of experience I'm all about. Creating memories, enjoying the ride. Don't forget to leave a comment below if you ride with your pets too. We love hearing your stories.
Those personal anecdotes really bring the reviews to life, don't they? It's one thing to hear that a bike is comfortable, but it's another to hear about someone enjoying quality time with their dog while riding.
For sure. And hey, if you're enjoying this deep dive so far, make sure you smash that like button. Okay, now for the real test. How does the HeyBike Mars handle hills? Because let's be honest, that's a concern for a lot of e-bike riders, especially if you're carrying any extra weight.
Yeah, that's a great question. And based on the reviews, the HeyBike Mars seems to pass this test with flying colors. Several reviewers, even those living in hilly areas, were impressed with the bike's power on inclines. One person even mentioned tackling a particularly steep hill with ease, saying the bike didn't even break a sweat.
That's impressive. And here's another thing the reviewers kept mentioning. Value for the money.
Mm.
When you consider all the features you're getting, the powerful motor, the long range, the fat tires, the dual suspension, the HeyBike Mart seems to be very competitively priced,
Mm.
especially compared to some of the other, premium e-bikes out there.
Yeah, that's a key consideration for a lot of buyers, right? People want to feel like they're getting a good bang for their buck. And from what we're seeing in the reviews, the HeyBike Mars seems to tick that box.
Definitely. But okay, let's be real. Not every review is glowing. We did find a few recurring concerns. And hey, if you've experienced any of these issues yourself, let us know in the comments below. We want to hear your perspective. The most common complaint we saw was about the folded size. While the bike is foldable, some reviewers felt it wasn't as compact as they had hoped. A few people even said they struggled to fit it into their car trunks. What are your thoughts on that?
It's a valid concern. Foldability is a fantastic feature for storage and transport, but there's always a trade-off with size and weight. It sounds like the HeyBike Mars, while foldable, might not be the most compact option out there. It's definitely something to consider if you have limited storage space or a smaller vehicle.
Right. It's always a good idea to double-check those dimensions before you buy, especially if you're planning on transporting the bike in a smaller car. But hey, even if it doesn't fit in your trunk, most reviewers who needed to transport it in a vehicle said it was manageable, especially if you remove the battery first, like that pro tip from the FAQ. Now, let's talk about another topic that came up in the reviews. Battery life. This is always a big one with e-bikes.
Yeah, absolutely. Battery life is crucial, especially if you're planning on longer rides or relying on the bike for commuting.
And we saw a real mix of feedback on this. A lot of people said they were getting close to the advertised 48-mile range, which is pretty impressive. But then there were a few reviewers who said their battery drained faster than expected, especially when riding in higher pedal assist modes or tackling a lot of hills.
Yeah, well, it's important to remember that battery life in any e-bike, it's going to vary depending on a few factors. Your weight, the terrain you're riding on, the level of pedal assist you're using, even the temperature outside can all affect how long a single charge lasts.
So those advertised range figures, it's always a good idea to take those with a grain of salt. They're a good starting point, but your real-world experience might be a bit different. And hey, if you're a HeyBike Mars owner, let us know in the comments what kind of battery life you're getting. We're curious. Now, before we wrap up, I want to talk about one more thing that's super important. Safety.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Safety should always be a top priority, especially when you're riding an e-bike that can reach speeds of 20 miles away.
Thankfully, the HeyBike Mars seems to have some good safety features. Reviewers mentioned that the dual disc brakes are powerful and reliable. They provide quick stopping power even at higher speeds. They also like the bright headlight and taillight, which enhance visibility for both daytime and nighttime riding. And then, of course, those fat tires. Not only do they provide great traction, but they also add stability to the ride. But remember, folks, even with all these safety features, always wear a helmet and be aware of your surroundings. Safety first.
Absolutely. No e-bike can replace common sense and responsible riding habits.
Well said. Okay, folks, we've covered a lot of ground today. We've explored the HeyBike Mars' specs, its features, pros, and cons, and we've heard what actual riders are saying about it. So what's the final verdict? Is this e-bike worth the hype?
I think based on everything we've seen, the HeyBike Mars seems like a solid contender in the e-bike market. It offers a really compelling blend of power, versatility, comfort, and affordability. And with so many positive reviews from real riders, it's definitely a bike worth considering.
Yeah, I totally agree. It seems like a great option for riders who want a do-it-all e-bike that can handle both city streets and off-road adventures. But ultimately, the best e-bike for you is the one that fits your individual needs and preferences. So do your research, read those reviews, and test ride a few bikes if you can before making your final decision.
Yeah, there's no substitute for firsthand experience.
Now, before you go, make sure you hit that subscribe button and give this video a like if you found this deep dive helpful. We really appreciate your support. And don't forget to check out the links in the video description. We've got links for more information on the HeyBike Mars, including the official website, the full Amazon listing, and even some discount codes if you're ready to take the plunge.
You got you covered.
And hey, let us know in the comments what you think about the HeyBike Mars. Are you considering buying one? What features are most important to you in an e-bike? We love hearing from you. Thanks for joining us today, everyone. Until next time, ride safe and be free.